When the Magi had departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. Herod is going to search for the child to destroy him." Joseph rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt. He stayed there until the death of Herod, that what the Lord had said through the prophet might be fulfilled. "Out of Egypt I called my son." When Herod had died, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought this child's life are dead." He rose, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was ruling over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go back there. And because he had been warned in a dream, he departed for the region of Galilee. He went and dwelt in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophets might be fulfilled. He shall be called a Nazarene. The Gospel of the Lord. Today we celebrate Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, the feast of the Holy Family. And at first glance, that title, the Holy Family, might feel comforting for some, but it might be difficult for others. For those who come from loving, stable homes, it may sound very familiar, but for others, maybe single parents, widows and widowers, those who might live alone, those whose families are broken, distant, or painful, the words Holy Family can feel like something far away, far distant, even unattainable. But the Church does not give us this feast to hold up a perfect family. She gives it to us to remind us that holiness does not come from perfection. No, not at all. Holiness comes from faithfulness. We might be tempted to imagine the Holy Family as peaceful and protected. But today's gospel? No. It's telling us something totally different. You got Joseph, Mary, and Jesus. They fled from their home in the middle of the night. They became refugees. They wound up living in a foreign land. They were so uncertain of what the future held for them. They knew fear. They knew danger, displacement, and even instability. When they finally returned, it still wasn't safe to go home. No. So they settled in Nazareth, a small, unnoticed place. This was not for them a very easy life, at least it doesn't sound like it was. It was not a picture of a perfect family. It was a family doing its best to do one thing, to just trust in God. Take one step, one day at a time. That reality, I think, allows every one of us to see ourselves in them in one way or another. Some families today, they're holding together through illness, maybe some financial stress, maybe addictions or grief. Some parents are carrying responsibilities all by themselves, no one to support them. Some children live between households or carry wounds that they didn't choose. Some adults live alone with no spouse, no children, no family left, and carry quiet loneliness in their hearts. Some families are present physically, but they're broken emotionally, filled with silence or unresolved pain. The Holy Family understands all of this. They were faithful, not because life was easy. They were faithful because God was at the center of their lives. So what then really makes up a holy family? We hear in Sirach today. Sirach helps us to understand that we ground holiness in something very real, and that is how we treat one another, honoring, caring for, and showing patience, especially when someone is weak, aging, or difficult. This applies not only to the traditional families, but I think it also applies to every relationship God places in our own personal lives. Honoring another person means recognizing their dignity no matter who they are, even when the relationship is strained or imperfect. And St. Paul, in his letter to the Colossians, gives us a kind of uniform for holiness, and one that I think fits everyone. He says it: clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. Bear with one another, forgive, and above all, put on love. These are not instructions just for married couples or parents either. I think they're instructions for every single Christian, for every Christian heart. Whether you live in a busy household or a quiet home or apartment by yourself, whether your family is strong or if it's broken, these very virtues are how Christ lives in us personally. For families with parents and children, holiness is built in daily choices, choosing patience over anger, listening instead of shouting, forgiveness instead of keeping score with one another. For single parents, holiness is found in perseverance, in sacrifice, and love that just keeps showing up, even when exhausted or unseen. For those who live alone or feel that they have no family, holiness is found in faithfulness, in prayer, and in generosity, and the quiet strength of trusting God with your life as it is right now, not as you wish it would be. For the broken, the dysfunctional family, holiness begins with small steps, refusing to return harm for harm, praying for healing, setting healthy boundaries, or offering forgiveness, even if reconciliation is slow. And for those who feel forgotten or isolated, the church is your family. You're not invisible to God. You're not alone in this faith community or any faith community. Joseph listened to God when he did not have all the answers. Mary trusted God even when the path was so uncertain for her. Jesus grew in love and obedience within an imperfect world. That is holiness. Being a holy family or a holy person does not mean never failing, but rather it means returning to love again and again and again. It means allowing God to work in the ordinary, in the wounded, in the unfinished parts of our own lives. I think today, as we celebrate this feast, we are invited to ask, where do I need more patience? Who do I need to forgive? How can I bring Christ's peace into my home, into my loneliness this very week? And the Holy Family is not a distant ideal. They are companions to us on the journey that we're on. They remind us that God chooses to dwell in our real lives with our real struggles and our real love. No matter what your family looks like, whether it's whole or broken, present or absent, God is present in your own personal story. And holiness is possible wherever love is chosen. And so let us pray that Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, that we allow them to walk with us, and that we walk with them, and that they teach us to trust God just one day at a time. And may our homes and our hearts become places where love makes room for God.